Recently, there was a bit of a panic. Craftsy started shutting down shops for people on their marketplace left and right. And even people who stayed, they weren't necessarily guaranteed that all their patterns were going to stay. The maker community was in an uproar. People were outraged. And I sat back feeling a little like I was one of the few people sitting back and saying, we can do this. This is actually really good news, which I think annoyed some people, but let me explain, okay? I'm going to tell you why this is not the end of the world and how we can avoid this happening again, because it will happen again. One day Etsy won't be there. One day PayHip won't be there. So where will you be? You'll be on top. Trust me, you can do this. You are listening to the Creative Women's League podcast. I'm your host and biggest fan, Kate Toney. Creative women entrepreneurs all over the globe turn to the Creative Women's League for social media advice, marketing help, and to get their minds in the mode to achieve bigger than they ever thought possible. Whether it's hearing the journey of your favorite creative badasses or the expert business advice shared, CWL is here for you with a whole lot of laughs, heaps of honesty, and endless support. Because over here, we know the secret sauce to building your creative empire all starts with motivation, inspiration, know-how, and community. If you want to exceed every goal, defeat the doubt, cast out fear, and connect with your fellow creative Wonder Woman, well, my dear, it's time to join the Creative Women's League. Hey everybody, it's Kate. I am super excited to be here for this episode today. How are you? Let's get that out of the way first. How you doing? It is January. It is cold in Orlando. Yes, even in Orlando it's cold. So I know some of you up in the Midwest and Northeast are really freezing, but it's pretty cold. Pretty freaking cold. So today's episode was actually originally a Facebook Live I did in the Creative Women's League Facebook group right after Craftsy announced that this was happening, and people really started to panic and get angry. The anger is really what triggered me to do this, because I didn't want anybody to feel that way. I didn't want anybody to feel personally attacked. I didn't want anybody to feel like this was so out of the blue and so completely impossible to deal with, because it's not. And it's actually, this is going to be so annoying, but it's actually a really good thing. I know that sounds impossible. I know it sounds ridiculous. How could this ever be a good thing? But it was a good wake-up call for everybody, because every platform could go this way. If you don't own the platform, you don't own what's happening on that platform, you need to be prepared that it will crash. Everything will go by the way of MySpace at some point. Everything will go by the way of Craftsy at some point. And even if it doesn't, you really should expect it to. It'll make it a lot easier. I'm diving right in today. I'm not getting into anything else. We're going straight into this episode about Craftsy. So first I want to give you some background, and this is by no means a comprehensive background. But I think it's important to know where Craftsy and Blueprint, how this all started to come to be. So May 10th, 2017, Craftsy announced that they were bought by NBC. Now, nobody knows that number for sure, but it was around $230 million in cash for the 7-year-old website. Reports said that Craftsy had revenue between $60 million and $65 million in 2016, and that was around their break-even point. At the time, John Levinsay, founder and CEO, he promised to stay on for 4 years during the transition. So he was really helping facilitate the jump from Craftsy and making sure the transition into Blueprint was going to go smoothly and wonderfully, and all of us consumers would be really happy with it. They announced they're keeping their Denver and Indianapolis offices open. They also announced this: both classes and supply business lines at Craftsy will play a large role in future plans. Here's our first big sign they sent us back in May of 2017. So we're at least a year and a half away from that. Then in July 2018, Craftsy announced that it's going to become Blueprint, and it's bringing the NBC power to its streaming services. The announcement said, Blueprint's new original classes and series include Cooking Show, Ready, Set, Cook with Al Roker and Matt Abdu, Spark, narrated by Padma Lakshmi. I hope I said that right. That's going to profile different artists and innovators on the creative landscape. Blank Wall Overhaul, hosted by designer and sculptor James Worsham. And Refashion, hosted by Marcy Harrell. I know her as Una Baluna on Instagram, and she is wonderful. I love her. So as you can see, they were bringing some real power in the talent capacity. People who might not have been teaching classes on Craftsy otherwise will now be there with Blueprint because, hello, NBC's behind him. Blueprint will also have an expanded e-commerce strategy. In the fall of 2018, NBCU plans to expand Blueprint's lineup of retail products and kits. So I know originally Craftsy promised shop owners, fabric stores, that they were never going to do e-commerce. And this is why a lot of people had a hard time with Craftsy the first time around, because then they realized they had to sell the kits as well. They had to sell things people needed to actually take their courses. And at that point, you might as well have some extra fabric lying around, some extra notions lying around. It's business, you guys. Craftsy was not in this to make friends. They were in this to have a business and to have a new business model that really changed the game, which is what they did. Then in December, Blueprint sent out emails that told pattern creators whether their store will be left up or will be taken down as of December 28th, which really stinks because it just kind of put a damper on the holidays. I can definitely say the timing was a little rude. At that point, we were saying, well, even if your store is left up, we don't know what patterns you're going to lose, if you're going to lose some patterns. No one had any way of knowing. And none of us knew what the future held for patterns. We still don't know what the future holds for patterns on Craftsy. I'm here to tell you, I want every one of you to prepare for losing your patterns on Craftsy, to lose your patterns on PayHip, to lose your patterns on Etsy at some point. Don't panic. It's okay. It's okay. We have great ways, smart business ways that we can take care of this. Because I do want to remind you, we saw this coming as early as May 2017, when a business says that their future strategy includes e-commerce and classes, and they never mention patterns. That is not good for patterns. That was a big red flag at that moment. Craftsy has always treated their pattern lounge as an afterthought. Let's be honest. It was a lawless land. There was stuff everywhere. I even deleted their pattern apps because it said the same featured ones for months and months in a row. It was clear they weren't paying any attention to it. So I think a lot of people thought that going forward, Blueprint would just leave it to be this lawless land, this big afterthought that nobody cared about. But big corporations, they get that way because they don't deal in afterthoughts. They're smart enough to look at the bottom line and see what can stay and what has to go. So why am I telling you so many huge numbers? Why am I telling you all these big names? Why am I here preaching to you almost probably you're thinking defending Blueprint? I had a few people say, well, why did you defend Blueprint over all these small businesses? Well, am I trying to prove to you how money hungry these companies are by saying these numbers? Am I trying to prove to you how rude and unkind they were over the holidays? No. I am proving to you that there is money out there to be had in this industry. And when you're providing quality and when you're innovating, there is millions of dollars in this for you. There is millions of dollars in this for you. The proof is in the pudding. There is money here when you treat your business as a business. We need to think like a business and reach out and grab it. Flat out. I want you to have the brain of a corporation and the heart of a solopreneur. Then you can't lose. And this is a mantra we are taking into 2019 over and over and over again. Brain of a corporation, heart of a solopreneur. You are a business owner. I keep hearing people say, well, Crafty's only in it for the money, in a bad way. Of course they're only in it for the money. They are not a charity. They aren't a nonprofit. They're a business, and they have to make money. They have to do it. That's what makes this world go round. Whether you made $5, $500, or $50,000 from your creative business last year, you are a business. Let's kick out the limiting mindset. Let's start performing at higher levels, and let's make the whole industry know your name, because we can do that. Look at the money that is here. If you see this as a hobby, if you're okay with just making a little bit of money and that's all you're going to do a little bit on the side, fine, but that's all you're going to get. You can't have the mindset that this is a hobby that you're so fortunate to make some money at and make it big. There's a few cases where that has happened, but then people really have to kick it into a business mindset. You're playing with chance at that point. I don't see your business as a hobby. I see it as a business. There is money out there, and all of us together, all of us creative women need to stand up and grab that money for ourselves, for each other. We need to do this together. Yeah, together. Together. I recently heard one industry professional said that this is a pie that we're cutting up into too many pieces, and that's why nobody's making money. But let me tell you right here, right now, that is bullshit. If you hear anybody say that, that is bullshit. YouTubers don't worry about how many other YouTubers there are. They go out and they make money with the skills they have, knowing there is plenty of money in this world to go around, and they can reach out and grab some too. The rising tide floats all ships. A strong industry, an industry that shows up, acts professionally, and professionals who demand more for themselves and more of themselves, they are going to change this industry for the better. And this industry needs some changing. I love the people in it, but we have got to join 2019. We've got to join an era where people are making money and they aren't afraid to ask for what they're worth. So no matter if you have a Craftsy store or not, you need to treat that letter as a big sign that we all need to change the way we work. And we're going to do this in 3 ways. 1, have your own website. Yes, you have to have your own website. 2, have an email list. I know, it sounds crazy. 3, guide people to both as often as possible. The biggest way, the number one way that you can avoid having an issue like this in the future is to have your own website. You need a website that you own. You put the content on. If Craftsy closed tomorrow, your site would still be up. If Etsy closed tomorrow, your site would still be up because it has nothing to do with them. Many people use a Linktree and an Etsy store as a free alternative to having their own website, but that is a hobby mindset. And it's okay. I understand. You might need to save the money for your web hosting. You might need to save the money to get that e-commerce site that you want. But if you are using this as a permanent solution, you are operating like a hobby, and we are ready to level you up, okay? You are ready to treat this as the business it is so that you can start making money. You need your website, and you need a shop that has only you in it. Only you in it. We have to quit relying on Craftsy and Payhip and Ravelry and Etsy. You don't control what happens there. If tomorrow another one culled the herd, you could be lost again, and it'd be like Groundhog's Day. Oh my gosh, I can't even. That would give me so much anxiety because I'm telling you guys, it can happen. It's going to happen. So I want you to be prepared. We've just seen exactly what happens when you don't own a site and you don't control what happens there. This panic happens, this outrage happens, and we never have to participate in the panic or the outrage again. We can consciously choose to never participate again. Isn't that awesome? I love it. So you need to be directing all of your traffic to your own website so people can fall in love with you and what you do there. So instead of saying, go buy this at my Craftsy, you need to say, go buy this on my website, where you control the ads. You can get them to sign up for your email list. You can better understand your numbers. Then you'll know who has put something in a cart and not bought it. And no, you won't know exactly who, but you'll have numbers on that. You can see roughly who's done that. You'll then be able to see how many people visited your website due to a certain Instagram post. I encountered a lot of makers who never panicked about their Craftsy site going down, and that was because they had their patterns on there. Of course, you want to show up where people are buying, but that wasn't where they did most of their selling anyway. They did it from their website, so they were fine. Okay, and then we have email lists. So email lists are the one thing you need to start using right now. This will help you keep in contact with your potential customers, your raving fans. You got to be in people's inboxes, or at least have the potential to be in people's inboxes. I'm not saying that you have to write a weekly email blast, but at least if you have their email sitting somewhere, when you need to reach out to them to say, my Craftsy is closing, my Etsy is closing, you have it. Or to announce a huge pattern launch, or to just say thank you so much. It's important to have their emails. So MailChimp is free at first. It's up to like X amount of people on your mailing list. So at first you can have a free MailChimp, which is great. That'll help you get started and get moving. You can offer your patterns. Just remind people that you're there. You can make a newsletter if you want to, like I said, but some people just use it for pattern launches. And then anybody who's ever bought, they're going to get this email from you. They can opt out, and that'll be great if they do. That means that they're not your perfect tribe. But this is a much better plan than just letting people buy from your Craftsy and letting them go by the wayside. That is money lost. That is love lost. That could have been a raving fan, and just because they saw you on your Craftsy, bought from there. They saw you on your Etsy, bought from there. They saw you on your PayHip, bought from there. And then you disappeared from their mind. You lost a raving fan. Okay, and then from here, the third thing you're going to do is just direct people to both as often as possible. One of the great things you can do is create an email list only incentive. So that's either a pattern, a discount code, a guide. If you're something like a quilter, like a guide to the best battings to use, whatever it may be, create an email list only incentive and tell people on your Instagram, go get that incentive by signing up for my email. Or on Tough Kitten Crafts, that's my blog, I have a blog post for an eye pillow and I say, get the pattern here. When you click to get the pattern, it says, give me your email address and we'll go from here. So then the pattern shows up right there in their inbox, and now I have their email list. It was a great transaction. And so far, I have never had somebody unsubscribe. I don't do a ton of email anyway. I don't do a ton of spamming them for things. I tell them about new posts happening, and thank you so much to anybody who's on that email list. But that's it. I just direct people to it often, and then I'll remind people, hey, this is a great gift for this. This is a great gift for that. Did you get yours? Because I love mine. And it's been wonderful to see people make them and to see my email list grow. So the big thing I want you to get from this is to treat your business as a business. Craftsy didn't just rely on Etsy and Linktree to get where they are. They made the time investment. They made the money investment. They thought about their bottom line and what works for them in business. And I know it stings.
I really do know it stings. I hope I don't come across as being too harsh with all of this. I understand it stung, and I really am sorry. I know it was a punch in the gut for a lot of people, and if you don't know how to fix it, then it does feel like the world is ending. But together we can fix it. We can do this. I am here for you. And if you have any questions, go ahead and message me. I can explain any of this in greater detail for you. I want you to feel prepared. I want you to have the business of your dreams. And there is millions out there, millions and billions of dollars out there. You deserve to grab some for yourself and for your family. By the way, one great resource to turn to is the online marketing world to see what's working there. Of course, the CWL is here with lots of inspiration, motivation, know-how, and online community. I'm always trying to help you as much as I can with the marketing arenas, but turn to those things. See what's working in other industries, because our industry has to grow. Our industry has to change. We have big things to do, and we have got to join the 21st century, because the handmade community, the handmade market is a little behind. So let's do this. I love you guys so much. Get over into the Facebook group to discuss what's going on with this episode, how you're feeling about the things I said here, any aha moments, any whoa, Kate, that was a little too tough moments. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next week. Woohoo! I think Tori will be back next week. You're still here? It's over. Go home.